They say life begins at 40. Nah, I don't believe that. Life begins once you know who you are. Life begins once you realize what is your true identity. See, once you know who you are, all of a sudden there's a compass to the things that you know that you must fulfill. You all of a sudden have a purpose. You're based more on the decisions that you have gathered, informed by the things that you have from your knowledge, and you're willing to put them into practice. You see, what you think nobody can see, that's invisible. But what you put to practice, your actions, actually turn the invisible into visible. And you're bringing two dimensions into one, materializing for people to see that it is possible. You see, the key thing is that once you start seeing life in a different way, all of a sudden your priorities change and you start to look at things from a different perspective. And things that were important to you may not be as important as before. You see, the thirst for going out, all the luxury things, the jewelry, the fast cars, the beautiful houses, the holidays, the beautiful spouses, and all the trimmings that comes with it. There's nothing wrong with them. But it's from where you're coming from to attain those things that makes the difference. You see, previously, we are seeking all these things, going out, nightclubbing, all these things, to try and become or to be seen. But you're trying to become like somebody else. And because you're always trying to become like someone else, you're never fulfilled. There's always more. There's always things that you don't think that you have done enough because you don't know what you are. And therefore, you're not content. You're always seeking. You're always trying to become something that you're not. You're living this champagne lifestyle on lemonade money, and it's just a constant vicious cycle. But once you start to get to your full predicament of knowing that this is who I am, this is what I want to be, I'm going to invest in myself, this is going to be who I am in 5 years' time, or this is what I'm going to work towards 5 years' time, this is what I'm going to do in my life, and all of a sudden there's a plan of action. And you're working on the goals or the things that you didn't do before. And all of a sudden, life just seems to become much more beautiful because you're now taking things off. You're now achieving things that before you would have overlooked or didn't want to test because you didn't want to fail. But then you realize that failure doesn't mean you're a failure. Because you're failed doesn't mean you're a failure. And you see, when we keep on failing, we have been educated to know that that is a bad thing. But you see, the person who is a billionaire compared to the person who is a beggar is the person that kept on going on. The person who did more and saw every situation as a challenge, not as a barrier. And that billionaire did the things that the beggar has not. And that tells me that anything is achievable, but you have to be prepared. You have to prepare for resistance. You have to be prepared to fail. You have to prepare to get yourself up again and again and again and again until you're able to do it. Until from the beginner, when you start as a beginner, then you go into intermediate until you become an expert. You see, we have been born with that DNA. And if you sit back and think about it, even you as a child who didn't know how to speak, didn't know how to walk, that child somehow kept on going until they got what they wanted and didn't stop until they got the end result. And through the process and through the growth and through the development and strengthening their muscles and getting the resilience to keep on persisting and consistently continually getting the end of what they are set out to do, is what you and I are able to do. So look at the landscape of life and realize that you are the director. And if you don't like the direction, change it, because you have the power to do so. It's amazing what God has given you and I. And I want you to realize that everything that you consider to be beautiful, somebody else may not be. And that's why it comes to a point. Identify who you are, realize who you are, and then all of a sudden, your universe will change, because the atmosphere starts from within, not outside. And therefore, the things of outside cannot affect you as much within. If within doesn't have it to start with, it will always fall and be faltering at things that come outside, because outside will dictate who you really are. However, if you know who you are and you have from your life experiences and your knowledge which you're willing to put to practice, everything that you see outside will depend on how you think, and you know that you can overcome everything, because you realize life is there to serve you. You're not there to serve life.